All right, Dragon Brood, we're into day 4, I believe it is, of previews for Edge of Eternity, and we got a little bit more than we did yesterday, so let's get to it. We're going to start with 0 Point Ballad. It's X and a black. It's a sorcery. Destroy all creatures with toughness X or less. You lose X life. If X is 6 or more, return a creature card put into a graveyard this way to the battlefield under your control. Man, I feel like we're just. I've said this rant before, but we have too many sweepers in standard. Even now, this is just going to be number like, I don't know, 15 or something, even after rotation. We have a lot. That being said, this is a quality one, right? You spend 5 mana, let's say, you get rid of the majority of the creatures on the battlefield, you get to return one under your control. Like, seems reasonable. I think though whether this card's good or not though comes down to what does the format look like, right? Because being able to play it for 3 and wipe out a bunch of aggro creatures is actually pretty good. Maybe even 4 mana, and that makes it pretty flexible. However, if people are ramping up to big stuff or reanimating things or whatever, then you'd rather just have a clean, 5 mana sweeper that just gets everything with no question. But this card definitely is going to see some amount of play. Sunstar Expansionist, 1 and a white for a 2/3 human knight. Oh, another knight, actually, which is interesting. When this creature enters, if an opponent controls more land than you, create a lander token. And landfall, whenever a land you control enters, this creature gets +1/+0 to end of turn. It's a knight, it's kind of the upside. But if you are playing something that cares about lander tokens or artifacts entering the battlefield, I guess this is reasonable. I don't think it'll see a ton of play, but it'll probably get a little bit in some fringe decks. Cavaron Harrier. It's a 1 mana 2/1 robot soldier. So just 1 red. Whenever this card attacks, you can pay 2. If you do, create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token that's tapped and attacking. Sacrifice the token at the end of combat. This is actually a very reasonable card to play. Like 1 mana 2/1s tend to find their way into decks in hyper aggro situations. I think this is just going to come down to, does the deck playing it care about token creatures? Care about things entering the battlefield? Or does this card itself being an artifact creature and or robot matter? If any of those things are relevant to that creature deck, then this is probably going to make the cut as one of your 1-drops. If not, probably not going to see a lot of play because we'll just be playing other things for 1 mana that are still reasonable. Mightform Harmonizer, 2 green for a 4/4 Insect Druid. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, double the power of target creature you control until end of turn. Wow. Warp for 2 and a green. Now, this is the interesting one. Okay, first let's just talk about the ability, right? A 4/4 for 4 that lets you double the power of target creature. So if you have anything with trample, this is great. Now, I know people's first thought here is like, oh, this is something that's going to go into the mono green landfall decks, where we're like, maybe, but those decks aren't usually looking for a 4 mana thing. This is a little bit slow for them. Not to say they can't play it, but this probably shows up somewhere else. But if you're playing just like a typical mono green aggro, you're playing a true Gruul aggro, not mice junk, like actual creatures. If something has trample, this makes it a real threat, right? You go from being a 3 to a 6 power or 4 to an 8 power. That becomes really hard for your opponent to deal with. Now, the warp is interesting on here because it's 3 mana 4/4 effectively, and then you can immediately play it the next turn. A lot of stuff with warp seems to have like a 2 or 3 turn delay. So you could like warp for 2 or 3, but then you can't play the card till turn 5 type of thing. Here, you could just do it the very next turn. So you could get this ability on back-to-back turns if the situation was right. So yeah, kind of a cool card. Does it find play anywhere? I don't know, but it's a really big ability to just ignore, honestly. I think it's going to show up somewhere. Survey McCann. I don't, the word McCann just feels so weird. But 4 colorless for a 1/3, or generic, I should say, whatever. That upsets people if you say colorless when you mean generic, but we know what we're saying. Anyway, 4 mana for a 1/3 flying robot with hexproof. You can pay 10, sacrifice this creature. It deals 3 damage to any target. Target player draws 3 cards and gains 3 life. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is the number of different named lands you control. This is kind of an interesting card because there's other decks already, like Towns and Gates that kind of want to have a bunch of different. Now, towns could be the same town, but you're playing a bunch of different ones. Like Gates obviously wants all the gates in play to be different. Could this be something for those decks? I doubt it, mostly because what's your upside, right? You're dealing 3 damage, and let's assume you're getting to activate this for, I don't know, you already paid 4 for this. Let's say you had 4 different lands. So let's say you're up to 6, I guess, when you go to activate this. So maybe it costs you 4, right? So you're paying 4 to sacrifice this to deal 3 damage to a target, draw 3 cards, gain 3 life. That's not terrible, but it's also not exciting. If this thing was a 1/4, I think it becomes more of a conversation. At a 1/3, I think it's still just susceptible to too much to really make it worth it. Really cool and limited, though, if you end up building around that in some way, shape, or form. But generally, I'm probably passing on this card for constructed play. The All Fates Scroll. 3 mana, artifact. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Pay 7, tap it, sacrifice it. Draw X cards, where X is the number of different named lands you control. Well, there you go. Back-to-back cards that care about you having different lands. However, this one is much more straightforward because it's a ramp spell, which helps you do things. And then also is just straight up draw X, or X is the number of different lands, which oftentimes means you're probably drawing 6 or 7 cards, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this one I like way more than the other one, but who knows? Maybe they show up in the same decks together. Specimen Freighter, 5 and a blue for a 4/7 spacecraft. When it enters, return up to 2 target non-spacecraft creatures to their owner's hands. It has station, obviously, of 9. Flying, whenever this spacecraft attacks, defending player mills 4 cards. The upside on this is okay. I mean, I still think we haven't seen the best reasons to station yet, right? I feel like there's going to be something that when you station, put an additional counter or 2 counters, or station multiple things at once. Like, there's going to be something like that in this set somewhere. But until then, we just got to measure stuff on what we know at this point in time. And 6 mana for a return to do nothing? I don't think we're playing that. I mean, we already have, what's his name? Meringue River Regent, right? Which does the same thing for 6 mana, but you get a 6/7 creature. And it comes with the upside that if you don't have the mana, you can just draw cards and dig to something else. So this is pretty neat. I think it only really makes sense if the mill portion actually can come online and matter. But if not, I don't think we're playing this over Meringue River Regent, or even playing it alongside it, truthfully, because of the cost. Remnant Elemental, 1 and a red for an 0/4 with reach. Landfall, whenever a land you control enters, this creature gets +2/+0 till end of turn. This is fine. This could actually be a real, like, if Landfall is a real deck. And when I say Landfall, I'm also including the cards from Final Fantasy that maybe, you know, when a land enters, a thing happens that doesn't necessarily say Landfall. But I'm okay with this. I think this could be a quality, just let's be aggressive. You know, it does have reach, which is good. But just getting in there with a 2/4 the next turn, or even a 4/4 potentially, alongside other things, yeah, nothing wrong with this card. Nothing gangbusters, but playable in the right deck. Memorial Team Leader, 3 and a red for a 4/3 Kavu Soldier. I think this is like the 4th Kavu we've seen now, maybe 5th. During your turn, other creatures you control get +1/+0. It has a warp of 1 and a red. Seems straight up cool. And again, this is another one where you warp for 2, but you can't play the card itself for 2 more turns, right? It's 2 to a 4. However, it does give that ability to all other creatures you control, not just other Kavu. So it's possible you could play this in some aggro deck. Just hit this, get some attacks in. Next turn, or 2 turns later, play a 4/3. Get in there, do some stuff. Like, this is a reasonable card. Obviously, if you're playing the Kavu deck, you're going to play this. But yeah, this is kind of just a cool card all around. Neat design. All right, we have to go to the translation here. This is the Cut the Fuel line. 2 and a red, instant. Target creature deals damage to itself equal to its power. If that creature has flying, it deals twice that much damage instead. Okay, so this isn't good against like 2/4 creatures, for example, but If it's a 3/3, 4/4, whatever, you just get the creature to kill itself. It is interesting because, you know, thematically, because it's cut the fuel line. If you hit a flyer, it takes the damage and then it takes damage again when it crashes. That's kind of a cool design on a card. I dig it. Are we going to play it? I don't know. It's actually reasonable. But again, it depends on what creatures end up being in the format, right? What the metagame looks like. If there's more 4/5s and 3/4s, then like this doesn't do much. But if it's a bunch of like 2/2s and 3/3s, then like, yeah, this card's fine. Or even 4/4s, 5/5s, 6/6s, whatever. If you need to kill big demons from rooms, things like that, then yeah, it's cool. Weft Walking. 4 blue enchantment. When this enchantment enters, if you cast it, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your library, then draw 7. The first spell each player casts during each of their turns may be cast without paying its mana cost. Blech. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I almost threw up in my mouth. Yeah. So you could just get a whole new hand of 7, and then this would be the first spell you played for the turn, so you wouldn't get a free one after that. But your opponent gets a free one first, right? The first spell each player casts, but they don't have a fresh hand either. So yeah, this is a weird card. How do we feel about this? This is obviously strong, right? Just getting to refresh your hand and then getting to play stuff for free. Because then all you have to do is kind of survive a turn, and then any big thing you have, whether it's a 5 or 6 mana sweeper, it's a free Meringue River Regent, it's some other big dinosaur, whatever the case is, right? Like, you just get it for free and get to keep the rest of your mana up. Whew, man. This is going to see some play. And when it does, someone's going to do something degenerate with it. Diadrine Synthesis Amalgam. Wow, that's a weird name. But it's X green-white for an 0/1 legendary artifact creature construct. It has trample. It enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. Oh, so not even for X. It's for the amount of mana spent to cast it. So if you spend 4, then it just comes in as a 4/5 creature. This is actually a really good creature, because even just for 2 mana, you get a 2/3. So that's cool. Whenever you attack, you may remove a +1/+1 counter from each of 2 creatures you control. If you do, draw a card and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. Wow, this is kind of a neat little card. So let's say you play it on turn 2 as a 2/3. I mean, I guess if you're playing a bunch of +1/+1 counter things, then you just keep removing counters and making more bodies? Huh. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Weird. Interesting design, though. I like it. Late game, it is just a big body you can play with a bunch of counters on it, and it has trample. So there's that. So, like, yeah, this card has a lot going for it. Biomechan Engineer. Blue and a green. So 2 mana for a 2/2 insect artificer. When this creature enters, create a lander token. You can pay 8, draw 2 cards, and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. I guess, again, if you have something that cares about lander tokens or artifacts entering, I guess this is fine, but pay 8 to draw 2. I guess if we're already playing a ramp deck, maybe, but I just feel like there's better things we're going to be doing for 8 mana. That's a lot to get 2 cards and a token. Probably not going to play this in 60 card Magic. Right, I for real had to take a detour when I saw the name of this card, because I did not know how to say the first word, which is pronounced Corral. That was going to be my guess, but the phonetic pronunciation is like KR, not necessarily. So it's like Crow, but you still say somewhat of an O. It's weird. Anyway, just figured I would let you know what I learned. Corral of the Void. It's 3 and a black for an aura, so you put it on something. Enchant creature you control. Whenever enchanted creature attacks, put target creature card from defending player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tap and attacking. The Void is at the beginning of your beginning of your end step. Sacrifice this aura unless a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or a spell was warped this turn. Oh, this is a weird card. Okay, so you play it on something you control, but then you attack, and then you get to take something from your opponent's graveyard and put it onto the battlefield. But if nothing else left the battlefield that turn, then you just lose this card anyway. So you have to, wow. So you need to attack with something, hopefully, big enough that it doesn't die in combat. Well, no, because then even that's weird. So you basically get one use out of this, right? Because you either put it on a creature that attacks and survives combat, and you got something back. So unless they chomp blocked, I guess, and something died, they're just going to take damage, and then you lose your enchantment. Or you put it on something that's small enough to die, but you do get the best thing out of your opponent's graveyard. So yeah, unless they're in a situation where they have to chump block late, you pretty much don't get this a second time. At least that's the way I'm understanding it. But either way, it's a very weird animate dead type card, or zombify, if you will, for your opponent's graveyard. I don't know how good that's going to be, but it's worth considering and being aware it exists. Oh, we found the green planet, Avindo, Waking Haven. It enters tap like the other ones, taps for green. It has 12 station like the others, and you add a green for each creature you control. All right, I mean, sure. I guess I want this in Commander. I don't think in standard play I'm going to get to a situation where I'm going to put 12 on this and then get anything significant out of it. But damn, that's not a pretty card, though, I'll tell you that. All Fate Stalker. 3 and a white for a 2/3 Drix Assassin. What's a Drix? I guess it's just the name of the aliens that live out here. But anyway, Drix Assassin. When this creature enters, exile up to one target non-assassin creature until this creature leaves the battlefield. It has warp of 1 and a white. Yeah, this is fine. We obviously we get versions of this all the time. Creature enters, you exile a thing till this creature dies. The warp is interesting because you could do it for a turn just to clear a big blocker out of the way, which I could see that happening quite a bit. But yeah, it's fine. It'll probably get some amount of play, but it's not blowing your doors off. I mean, it's a temporary removal spell, you know. Manois Circuit Feeder. 4 black for a Nautilus. Oh, this is a creepy looking Nautilus, but cool anyway. It's a 4/4 flying. When this creature enters until end of turn, target creature you control gets +X/+0, and target creature an opponent controls gets -0/-X, where X is the number of artifacts you control. So realistically, something's probably going to be getting like a +3 or 4, and you're going to kill off a creature, and you get a 4/4 out of this. I mean, I like this for limited a lot. I think you could build around this and have this card be pretty good. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what scenarios in standard. Well, again, we don't really know because there's a lot of robots, a lot of stations, spacecraft. So maybe I'm going to put a big question mark on this one because 6 mana is a lot, and you can be doing a bunch of other stuff with 6 mana. But there are some scenarios where if you were able to put 5 or 6 power onto something and kill off its biggest blocker, that might be good enough. I don't know. I'm going to assume not, though, because there's a lot we're doing with 6 these days. Not this name. Mamemanon? Is that what we're doing? Mamemanon? That's probably correct. But my goodness. Okay, Mamemanon, the right hand. 3 blue for a 3/4 Jellyfish Advisor. It's legendary. It has flying. You can look at the top card of your library of any time. You can cast artifact spells from the top of your library. Artifacts you control have tap, add a blue, spend this mana only to cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand. So basically, in most cases, you're going to be using that blue to pay artifacts off the top of your library. Actually, to cast a spell from anywhere. So I guess technically, if you have a spell exiled or something, some ability, that works too. But yeah, 5 mana 3/4 that lets you look at the top of your library. You can play artifacts off the top of it. It lets your creatures ramp effectively. And it's a jellyfish, which is cool. Man, I don't know how to judge this. This is one that feels very deck dependent. Because on a lot of cases, you're going to say, 5 mana for that? That's way too much, right? But there are some of the situations that if you are just playing a heavy artifact deck, maybe this is one of your recovery cards late in the game. You play this, and the next turn just start dropping all your small artifact creatures off the top. I don't know. There feels like there could be a corner where this gets played, but I don't think this is in any way a format staple. Reroute systems. 1 white mana, so just 1 for an instant. Target artifact or creature gains indestructible till end of turn. Or reroute system deals 2 damage to target tapped creature. I mean, this is solid, right? We already play cards that do some version of one of these things. So why not have the option in one card, I'm here for it. I mean, gaining indestructible is not hexproof, but still good enough to win some combat situations. Yeah, I'm here for it. This is a fine card. Roving Actuator. 3 in a red for a 3/4 robot. It has Void. When this creature enters, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn or spell was warped this turn, exile up to one target instant or sorcery card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard, copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. So, in most cases, it's going to be if something died in combat, then you play this as a 3/4. You get to play a 2 mana thing from your graveyard. 2 mana or less. If you're playing, say, red-black, and maybe one of the things you're getting is a kill spell or a, I don't know, let's say, lightning strike or something to kill off another creature, that could be kind of cool. I don't know, like, this is another one where I could see a world where it either gets played a pretty good bit or just doesn't get played at all. Can't even tell you. It's a cool idea, but we'll see. Pulse Squadron Ace. 1 and a white. So 2 mana for a 1/2 human pilot. When this creature enters, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a spacecraft card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest of the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand this way, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. I mean, if spacecrafts are a legit thing, and there are just like decks playing 8 or 10 spacecrafts in their list, maybe not even that many, maybe like 6 to 8, then this could be a playable card. Because worst case scenario, you pay 2 for a 2/3 if you don't put anything in your hand. If not, this card's going to go completely unplayed, I think. Seed Ship Broodtender. Black and a green for a 2/3. When this creature enters, mill 3 cards. You can pay 5, 3 black, green. Sacrifice this creature, return target creature or spacecraft card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. This seems fine. I'm okay with this, actually. A quality 2/3 for 2. It mills you if you're doing the self-mill thing. Return a big creature. I mean, especially the decks the green-black decks that were playing like the big reduced cost monsters from the graveyard. If you're in a world with no Beanstalk, right? This can fill the Beanstalk slot, giving you a body, mills your graveyard, so you're starting to fill the graveyard to fit other stuff. And then later in the game, or even just top decking this late, you get one of your big monsters out of the graveyard for a cost of 5. That seems okay. Yeah, this could probably find a home in a couple of spots. Sunstar Chaplain, 1 and a white for a 3/2 human cleric, so another cleric for those things that matter. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Remove or pay 2 and remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control. Tap target artifact or creature. Oh man, okay. So this is a 3/2 for 2, which is fine, already decent. At your end step, if you control 2 or more tap things, so you either have to, well, they're probably tapping to spaceships. Let's assume that. You get to put counters on stuff, and then you can remove counters to tap artifacts or creatures. Man, there's a lot going on with this card. The real talk, though, is this card could just show up, I guess, in +1/+1 counter decks. Because the thing you have is, if you tap down the 1 or 2 potential threats they have, and then you attack, well, now you're getting to put more counters on stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a place this gets played. It's an interesting, very unique card, though. Rescue Skiff. 5 and a white for a 5/6 spacecraft. When it enters, return target creature or enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And it has station of 10 to gain flying. Boy. 6 mana to return something from the graveyard to the battlefield. I will say this, again, and this is all caveat, but if we're already playing a deck that cares about spacecraft, then this card becomes very viable, right? You could play 2 or 3 of these just to get your best spacecraft back, to get whatever big creature back that's doing the things that enable station or whatever the case is. So yeah, not a great card, but a good enough card, I think. Yeah, that was a pretty good bit to get through, but lots of interesting cards today. Like, the set gets more and more interesting. I don't know, what's your favorite card you've seen so far? What stands out to you? What are you looking to play with? I still think we're waiting on one or two pieces to find out what spacecrafts are really doing, and I think they're purposely holding out on us. So we'll see over the next few days, I'm sure. And people have been asked about some of the shirts I've been wearing. I do have merch, actually. Check out the link below. But otherwise, if you want to get caught up on other previews, I'm going to go ahead and link the video from yesterday. That's all I have you for now. We'll see you next time.